Panic alarms are blaring inside WNBA headquarters, and no, this time it's not because of another missed layup or a viral foul clip. This is bigger, more dangerous, and it's got the league's top executives losing sleep. According to multiple industry insiders, 2026 might be the final year we ever see Caitlin Clark wearing a WNBA jersey. Yes, you heard that right.
I feel like we're quickly headed towards a scenario where there's going to be a lockout in the WNBA. And this is something I've talked about a few times because I think the players, they just have a much higher perception around their dollar value worth than the league is actually worth. And some of this stuff will work itself out, right? Like if you look at the WNBA, attendance, viewership, like merchandise sales, everything's up and to the right. Sponsorships, they're making a lot more money, TV rights, everything. But most people don't understand the dynamic between the NBA owning a large chunk of the business, the owners owning a large chunk of the revenue stream, and the players are out there every day. I mean, you just look at what was happening in that 60 Minutes interview. Aaliyah Boston said that she wants commas in her paycheck, $1 million+ essentially, right? And that's not happening anytime soon in the WNBA. Like, it's just not going to happen. A'ja Wilson makes $200,000 a year. And we're going to get to a point where that's going to set in as reality. And I think the players are going to have a really hard time dealing with that because they're going on the road and they're seeing these sold out arenas. But the economics of the league just don't give that opportunity.
The player who's been single-handedly filling arenas, breaking viewership records, and putting women's basketball back on the national stage could be gone in less than 2 seasons. And here's the kicker, the panic isn't coming from the players' locker rooms, it's coming from the offices upstairs, where the league's decision makers are running out of time to fix a looming disaster. Before we dive in, I want you to think about this. How does the WNBA survive without its biggest star? Without the one name that casual fans actually tune in to see? Drop your answer in the comments, because what I'm about to break down is the kind of behind-the-scenes chaos that could change the league forever.
As you guys know, negotiations have essentially stalled for a new collective bargaining agreement in the WNBA. For the first time ever, WNBA players think they have leverage. Key word, think. Now, in their defense, they do have leverage in the short term. The problem is, if this short-term leverage is used and the 2026 WNBA season is canceled, it could have devastating long-term impacts on pretend basketball.
Right now, the WNBA is acting like it's holding all the cards, dragging its feet in collective bargaining agreement negotiations, betting that the players will eventually fold. But the people who actually understand sports business are sounding the same alarm. The clock is ticking, and Caitlin Clark could be gone after 2026. And no, this isn't just some wild rumor floating around Twitter. We're talking about real industry insiders, the ones who look at media rights, sponsorship trends, and player contracts for a living. They're warning that if the league keeps ignoring reality, Clark won't retire, she won't slow down, she'll simply take her talent somewhere else. Why 2026? That's when the current CBA expires, and the way things are shaping up, both sides are miles apart. The players believe they finally have leverage. They see the sold-out Fever games, the massive jersey sales, the spike in television ratings, and they want that reflected in their paychecks. Not next year, not in 5 years, but now. But here's the brutal truth. The league's financial model isn't ready for million-dollar base salaries. It's the same warning signs we saw before the NHL lost an entire season in 2004-05. That lockout set them back years. The difference is, the NHL had a huge fan base to fall back on. The WNBA, it's got Caitlin Clark and not much else that pulls mainstream attention. The players' demands are getting louder, and they're asking for big money. We're talking about raising salaries from around $150,000 to $1 million, a massive jump. In an ideal world, it's easy to say, pay them, they deserve it. Especially when you look at Clark's numbers, the attendance, the ratings, the massive fan base she's built in such a short time. But here's the problem, the WNBA doesn't operate like the NBA. The league's revenue streams aren't nearly as deep, and the business model isn't designed to support such drastic salary increases. Yes, the league is making progress in television rights, sponsorships, and merchandise, but that doesn't mean they can afford to pay every player like a top-tier NBA star. The WNBA is still trying to build its brand and its market share. And if they give in to the players' demands now, it could come at the expense of the league's long-term stability. If the WNBA suddenly cancels a season due to a labor dispute, they might not bounce back like the NHL did. The WNBA doesn't have decades of history or a massive infrastructure to rebuild. If this goes south, it could be a fatal blow to the league, and that's exactly what insiders are fearing. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Unrivaled. On paper, it's just another upstart women's basketball league, but it's becoming something much more dangerous to the WNBA's future. Co-founded by former WNBA players, it's luring top talent with massive paychecks, the kind the WNBA just can't match. Caitlin Clark, for example, was offered over $1 million to join them last year. And let's be honest, that offer isn't going to get smaller in 2026. Unrivaled is offering a life raft to players who might feel like they're being squeezed out by the WNBA's stalled negotiations and stagnant salaries. While the WNBA argues over pennies, Unrivaled is showing players a very different future, one where they get paid more for fewer games, with fewer off-court headaches. That's a tempting offer for a player like Clark, who's already shouldering the weight of the WNBA's growth. The longer the WNBA drags its feet, the more players will seriously consider Unrivaled or other options that pay more and treat them better. And once Clark's on the outside looking in, the league loses its biggest draw, and that's a massive blow to its future viability. So, where does this all leave the WNBA? They've been leaning heavily on Caitlin Clark, and it's worked. Her impact has been undeniable. When she plays, the numbers skyrocket, the ratings, the merchandise sales, the ticket sales. But when she's not on the court, the league struggles to maintain that same level of interest. That's not just a sign of Clark's star power, it's a glaring problem for the league's long-term health. The WNBA is riding a wave created by one player, and if she leaves, it will bring everything crashing down. The truth is, Caitlin Clark isn't just another player in the league. She's the face of the WNBA right now, and if she walks, the league loses the one person who has consistently generated the kind of mainstream interest they've been dying for. There's no next Clark waiting in the wings, no other player who can command that kind of attention, and that's why the stakes are so high. If Clark leaves, the league doesn't just lose a star, they lose the reason casual fans even know the WNBA exists. And that could send the league into a free fall it may never recover from. The WNBA seems to think it has time, but every day that passes brings them closer to a disaster. If the league doesn't lock in Clark with a long-term, league-friendly contract soon, they risk losing her to other opportunities, and not just to Unrivaled. Overseas leagues are offering players fatter paychecks and fewer games. The pay gap between what Clark could earn in the WNBA and what she's being offered elsewhere is widening. The league's pride and fear of setting a precedent for one player to dominate the financial landscape could very well be the thing that pushes Clark out the door. Right now, the league is banking on its legacy, its prestige, and the idea that the WNBA is the place for women's basketball. But when your biggest star looks at the horizon and sees a future where she's treated better, paid better, and has a clearer path to building a career that lasts beyond the court, the WNBA's legacy might not be enough to keep her. And if she goes, the ripple effect could be catastrophic for the league, its fans, and the entire business structure. This is where the WNBA's short-term thinking could lead to long-term devastation. They're focusing on the now, trying to get by with the current structure, holding on to the idea that Clark is loyal, that she'll stay no matter how much money Unrivaled throws at her. But that kind of thinking is flawed. Caitlin Clark is a professional athlete, and like any top-tier talent, she's thinking about her career, her future, and her legacy. She's not just a cog in the WNBA machine, she's the engine driving its relevance. The league is acting like it has a deep bench of stars waiting to take the spotlight if Clark walks. Newsflash, it doesn't apply. If Clark leaves, it won't just be a talent vacuum, it'll be a cultural one. The WNBA can't survive on short-term wins and a handful of players with potential. They need to secure their future, and that future starts with locking in Clark. If the league fails to act, it could find itself without the player who has defined its growth and pushed it to new heights. And once that happens, recovery won't just be difficult, it could be impossible. At the end of the day, the WNBA's biggest mistake could be misreading the business side of this. They've always been reliant on the idea that they can continue to push the league's growth without making major shifts in player compensation and treatment. But Clark's rise to stardom has exposed the truth. Without top-tier talent like her, the league has nothing to hold on to. The reality is simple. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark more than she needs the WNBA. And if the league can't offer her the stability and compensation she deserves, someone else will. It's not just about the money, it's about respect, support, and ensuring the WNBA isn't just a stepping stone for players trying to make it in the sport. Players are looking at what Clark's done for the league and asking, why can't we have that too? Without Clark, there's a real chance the league could lose its footing. It's not just about losing a player, it's about losing the momentum she's built. And that could send everything crashing down. The clock is ticking, and every move the WNBA makes from here on out has massive consequences. If they can't secure Caitlin Clark, the future of the league is in serious jeopardy. The league's approach has been slow, reactive, and full of pride. But when you're dealing with a player of Clark's caliber, pride can't be the driving force. She is the WNBA's most valuable asset right now. And if the league doesn't act fast, they could watch her walk away to greener pastures. And when that happens, the WNBA risks losing the cultural cachet they've worked so hard to build. Sure, they'll still have talented players, but without Clark, there's no one left to drive the mainstream attention the league desperately needs. And while the WNBA is trying to stay afloat in a rapidly changing landscape, Unrivaled is gaining traction. And as it continues to grow, so will the financial gap that Clark could use to leverage a move away from the WNBA. If the league doesn't act fast, Clark's departure won't just be about her leaving the game. It will be about the league losing its very identity. So, will 2026 be the end of Caitlin Clark's journey with the WNBA? The experts say it's a real possibility, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The WNBA is in a position where one wrong move could send its biggest star to rival leagues, leaving the league's future in question. As the clock ticks down to 2026, it's clear the league needs to secure Clark's future and the future of the WNBA by locking in a deal that respects her value and guarantees her long-term commitment. But if the league's stubbornness and miscalculation of their leverage continue, Clark could walk, and everything she's helped build could come crashing down. The rise of Unrivaled and other external opportunities will only make her departure easier to justify. The WNBA needs to act now, not just to keep Clark, but to secure the viability of the league itself. If they fail, it won't just be Clark walking away. It will be the end of the WNBA as we know it. What do you think? Will the WNBA find a way to keep Clark, or will 2026 mark the end of the league's golden moment? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.